I got a comment on a YouTube comment of mine from a girl named Rachel that inspires me to go a little bit deeper into the aspect of trust involved in the very first video I ever posted was about my personal unique experience with truth, how I unexpectedly came to know truth. And it's like this. Trust isn't a perspective. It's what I know. I know to trust in everything that is based on how I experienced what I experienced when I unexpectedly merged with truth. Because the worst feeling I could ever imagine having, and I'll probably do a separate recording on that aspect with knowing how feeling is the passageway to who we are. But because of this feeling that I describe as way beyond the bottomless pit of despair, way, to where it was a true abyss. The abyss was endless, and it was way past any thought of suicide. That never crossed my mind. In hindsight, I realized I was way far past that. It was an emptiness that was so complete that the only way I could come up with that would ease that emptiness was to have never been. And that wasn't an option because there I was, But anyway, there's so many tangents I could go off on, but what I'm trying to say is the worst of times, the worst of feelings, for that to, along with one other aspect, which I'm not going to go into yet either, but basically it was finding the only way I knew to feel anyway, in the midst of that no way to feel anything anymore. Anyway, for the absolute worst of feelings to have been the catalyst that yielded, that catapulted me into the absolute best place I could be catapulted into, the emergence of who we truly are, was to know trust so intimately so fully, because that is what it's what made me know that every single thing that happens does so for a good reason. You see, merging with trust was the most complete surprise. I can't tell you how foreign it was to anything I'd ever had any glimmer of living in this world here. And to be one with it was to know it without any question whatsoever. And I knew I'd never be able to unknow it. And I didn't want to, of course. And it was the contrast to go from so low to so high in an instant. Well, it was a long time coming, but in that instant, that night, that it just naturally translated into, well, of course, then everything that happens does so for a good reason. Not just a good reason, for the best reason there could possibly be, which is to know and be who we are in this place of the polar opposite. Belief in who we are. Well, and that's what my very fledgling initial beingness practice of it was at first. Was that's why that translated into me letting go of my inner struggle against anything, because I knew and know that trust in everything is, no matter how hard it is to trust, and I can't think of anything more untrustworthy than the place I was at prior to merging with truth. So anyway, that everything was to be trusted in. Definitely not easy, because the feelings involved when people are hurting and when oneself is hurting, they're real hard to touch. And they're real hard to accept. I'll digress just a teeny bit here. It wasn't until pretty much everything was literally burned out of my body 4.5 years ago that I started to grasp the avalanche of rock-hard emotional pain that I had been operating from that really wasn't, it was just a mere trickle of practicing what I knew. And it was a hamster on the wheel type of practice, because every time I would let go of some inner struggle against something, another one would come up, and I feel like I was just back at square one all the time and not making any headway. But when I had that experience of so much being burned out of me, that there was enough cleared out that I could start getting a foothold and really start making progress, that prepared me to where I was able to really get and learn from and apply the teachings Kerry has to teach about facing whatever we're feeling in whatever moment, no matter how hard it is to face and feel. I had no idea that I wasn't doing that. I was clearing I thought I was clearing a lot of emotions. But ever from day one of merging with truth, it's always been about other people. Even when I was clearing and seeing myself, even myself as an innocent baby, let's just say, for example, in regard to my dad's rage, which, by the way, I'm the most grateful for, that his role. But when I would cry it out, I would be focused on the other person. For instance, him, he, knowing that he felt worse about it than anybody, and always feeling for others more than me, even when I thought I was feeling for me. Well, I was, but not very much, I guess. I don't know, whatever it was. When I came across Kerry and started benefiting from what she had to teach, it was a whole new world. It was a whole new world. I realized I hadn't faced myself, at least not deeply, and not in any way that I could gain a foothold and make some progress with, until I applied what she has to teach. And I've always been such a do-it-yourselfer that the only reason I knew to follow her teachings and apply them to myself is because she speaks my language. Every word she says is resonant with my personal experience, the way my personal experience with truth. So I guess I was ready at that point, between the burning out of stuff in my body and like in a physical way, and starting then to be able to really embody truth to where I could apply it. meaning I finally started allowing people to be who they were without me trying to fix it and say, it's really your own pain that's getting triggered by somebody else's own pain. That doesn't help anybody. It just yielded some estrangement with some family members for a while, but where was I? So I guess I was ready. And I just got to toss in one more thing. Hope I made the trust point well enough. I think I did. What was that other thing I was going to say? Shucks. Oh, well, I don't know. So, I want to remember what that thing was because I was talking about Kerry and the resonance. Oh, yeah. I still can't believe how much I can take for granted the fact that maybe I'm still in a state of shock about it, that there's another person, another human person that I fully resonate with, that feeling of aloneness I had, whether it was real or not, it felt real to me. Because I don't know people all over the world, There's probably all kinds of people that I would resonate with, but I just don't know who they are. But that feeling of aloneness, granted, it served me. It served me to get into relationships that only served for me to go deeper into myself and find more and more self-love, self-acceptance. But they weren't the real thing. None of them were. They were just me not wanting to be alone. And playing make-believe that I wasn't alone by assigning characteristics to the others that they didn't have. So I really can't believe how, it's almost like, I was in nursing school for a while, and I got to witness a baby being born. And it was so miraculous that I literally popped out of my body. I was gone. In the moment that baby was born, I was gone. And when I came back to the room, when my consciousness came back to the room, there were tears coming down my face, and everybody was staring, so who knows what happened. I don't know when I was out of my body, but my point is, when something feels like such a miracle, such as a baby being born, isn't it amazing how, it amazes me how we can take that for granted. And just like, oh, well, it's just part of it. I'm like, that's how I feel now about meeting Kerry, because it was such a miracle. And it is still. It feels like such a miracle to me that I finally got what I've always wanted ever since I merged with truth, which was to know another person that knows truth the way I know truth. I remember when I first came across her and just went to YouTube, and YouTube after YouTube, I was in shock. I was in disbelief. I couldn't believe it. Yes, I had a lot of PTSD from what had happened the year before, and I didn't want to fall into that hole again of forsaking truth. But I was like, how can you forsake truth when you hear someone else? I kept thinking, am I tricking myself? Am I fooling myself? But it was like, no. And with every day that passes, not only a long time ago did I realize I wasn't just fooling myself that she's the real deal, but also, wow, it's helped me take me so to a depth and breadth that, I could have never imagined on my own. I would have done my best, but I'm feeling on my own, but to have this kind of help from someone I know to trust, that I know is the real deal. And I'm glad I do have the contrast of the experiences when I've tricked myself into thinking another was the real deal. I'm glad I've had that, because now it's just so easy. It's such a automatic thing to know, to see. And I think, how could I have not seen that for so long? How could I have fooled myself for so long in numerous cases? Because I guess it's because to want that is, well, it speaks to the whole reason why we're all so motivated to reconnect with ourselves, because and the only way we know how initially is through another person. We think that's going to do it. So it all makes sense. But I still am kind of amazed at how long it took me. Some of us take longer than others. So, trust. That's what I came on to say. And I really appreciate that there's people that come and view these things, these videos I make. I know that it takes all of us together to make ascension work. And So I'm glad, I'm glad that you take the time to listen to this and help me too. I mean, we all help each other. It helps me because every time I talk about truth, it deepens it. Deepens my ability to be it. And I'm starting to see that I'm actually helping other people too. So the what's going on down there? But so the the words, the give and take, the equal exchange, the circuitry of us all is becoming more and more evident. So sometimes I would say more, but I think that feels egoic, so I don't know. I don't know. It's not. I was so happy to get that comment from Rachel. I'd already been feeling pretty happy because the companion I live with, who's always been, although I didn't see it and tricked myself for a long time, but that's always been pretty much my polar opposite in pretty much every way, but kind, but a kind person. Gradually, and last night especially, it wasn't much, but it was a little glimmer that a little glimmer of what I'm talking about might have landed somewhere, at least subconsciously, and it was really, I was happy for him, So anyway, the evening started out, well, talked kind of late, and so I got to bed late, and I was listening to some older YouTubes of Kerry's and that interview she just had with Amrit, and just got all revved up, just got so, and then happy, and then saw Rachel's comment, got even happier. And I was like, I don't think I slept, maybe a little bit here and there, but And I just kept playing. I was like, all I want to do is share this, the deeper aspect of trust with whoever might receive some or all of it. And I just couldn't rest until I did that, at least. And I'm so sorry for everybody that's out there in the workforce that doesn't want to be. I mean, I'm retired, and there's rarely a day that goes by that I don't fall on my knees and say, thank you, God, that I'm out of that prison. I did what I could, but to be me there, but wow, that was rough. So my point is, I can sleep whenever I want. And I wish that for everybody. You know, I just wish, well, it will happen for everybody. All of us, more and more, as we all learn together to really feel and be who we are more and more. I struggle with it, you know. But it's getting better. The real us is getting more real. I think a lot about, it comes to me a lot, that what Kerry says about, well, we can't get it all at once. We'd disappear. We'd into a higher frequency. We'd just poof, be gone. You know, that's not what we're here to do. So I find patience when I think of that. Well, this feels really incoherent, but it's good enough.